I feel like a loser when I say I'm a drummer.
This is Joe Wong. Welcome to the Trap Set, where each week we explore the lives of drummers. I want to play something for you.
Forget about how I don't see you enough to displace the rage, diffuse the urge to throw it all away and become your slave. I'll take you holiday. Let's go holiday.
You're hearing Holiday by Joan as Policewoman, featuring my guest, Parker Kindred, on drums. A deceptively unassuming presence, Parker has a supernatural gift for musical intuition. His intensely imaginative, lyrical sense of composition imbues the music with a deep, hypnotic subtlety. Add an angelic singing voice to the mix, and the picture of an ideal collaborator emerges. Aside from his work with Joan as Policewoman, Parker has worked with artists including Luke Temple, Amen Dunes, and Jeff Buckley. I spoke to him last month at his apartment in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. And now my conversation with Parker Kindred.
Where does my heart start to beat? At the bridge to your eyes, at the path.
And your dad was a musician?
Yeah, my dad's a jazz saxophone player. Yeah.
He still plays?
He died a couple years ago, like 2016 August. So yeah, wow, fuck, I totally missed his death anniversary.
I guess it's an occasion to kind of reflect if you want, but I bet you remember his birthday more readily than his death anniversary.
Yeah. I mean, right? Time's what? What is time?
I don't know. You tell me. You're the drummer.
No, we're talking no time here.
So what did he play? Tenor?
Yeah.
And
tenor, clarinet, flute, the woodwind stuff. Yeah.
And what about your mom? Is she a musician?
She wasn't. Well, actually, my mom and dad met in Philly, and they were each playing upright bass, and they were living on the same floor, and they actually bumped basses in the hallway.
That's awesome.
And they met that way.
That's really romantic and also really funny. It's like so unwieldy. And it was love at first bump.
Yeah, it was love at first base. Yeah.
Did your mom continue to play?
She played, and then she was also doing nursing school. But she hung out. Out of all of my parents' records that I still have, she has the best taste. And she hung out at all those clubs. She was, she knew Miles, and she was kind of hanging out at those.
In Philly?
Yeah, when they would come through, and I tell this story to some people, but my mom wanted Miles to meet my dad. My dad had some balls. I mean, he was, the only white guy on the black circuit, one of the only guys pushing his way through that. And I don't know, just think my mom, maybe she overstepped her territory. She took, and she introduced my dad to Miles and said, hey Miles, I'd like to meet my my man. And Miles goes, you have a very nice hole.
What the fuck? What an asshole.
Yeah.
I've read his book probably about 3 times or more, and he's such a dick.
Yeah.
He's a genius, but God, what a prick. What kind of music was on in the house when you were growing up? You said your mom had an incredible taste.
I mean, there's a lot. Yeah, there was a lot of jam sessions going on with my dad, and then.
And they moved to Jersey when you were born.
Yeah, I was born in Philly, and then we moved up to Fort Lee, which is right over the GW Bridge, and we lived there for a few years, and then moved to Englewood. I don't remember the music so much. I mean, I remember being there, but I remember the energy of the people, and like just the love and the sort of like, people being funny as hell, and just like laughing a lot, and and then seeing it happen in front of me was, I don't know, it was magical, So I mean, that's really what.
So you remember being enchanted, by it at an early
especially
age,
the drums. I mean, you just look at Four Limbs doing these crazy things, and the guy's so relaxed. And they give me a tambourine sometimes, and like, there's tapes. I'm on time. I got a little time, but just being exposed to it in that way, I'm grateful to have that. And I mean, some people have that going on a lot in their lives, and I'm envious of that, from like music from a very young age, even if it's like community or even like churchy kind of stuff, or like, not the religious aspect, but the musical aspect of it, just that community, and that like singing and, being in your body, because that's what the drums is, sort of, it's like just being in your body, feeling grounded. And I don't know, I mean, I feel like my dad bought my first drum set out of the back of a paint truck for $80. It was covered in paint. And he gave it to me when I was 10, and I was a really small little 10-year-old, and I was terrified, because also I felt this expectation to play drums, because I liked them so much. But still to this day, if I tell somebody I like something, and then they give me something a lot of what I'd said I liked, it turns me off. It's like, you're not letting me get to it. Mm-hmm.
Like it didn't feel earned.
I was, it was intimidating. I need pretty much, I mean, I think I approach music this way too. It's like, I need to I have to creep up on it. Yeah. I just, there's that great Danny Richmond video with Mingus, and and Danny's talking about, what he learned from Charles is like, Charles was saying, like, when you walk into a room, you don't go, hey, how you doing, everybody? What's happening? You go, hello. And somebody responds, how are you today? I'm fine. How are you? And just that back and forth,
So did you approach drums that way? Did you just kind of ease into it and kind of touch it a little bit and check it out?
Exactly. And then, I found some African 45s that I still have in my attic. We rented to a South African family one summer. We had this attic, and they left these 45 behind. And I discovered this shit that I should actually play you a little bit of before, just to hear that stuff, because that, I still listen to it. It's amazing. And they bought me doo-wop cassettes. So it was like African music and doo-wop.
What year was this?
That was...
Well, when were you born?
I was born in 72.
So this was like 82 or something when you were 10.
A little earlier than that, because you'll see, I wrote.
Oh, okay.
Wrote rock music on the African records.
Were your parents kind of like music snobs? Mm-mm. They listened to everything?
Yeah.
And one thing that I've heard from some children of jazz musicians is that their parents tried to impose the same level of kind of adult discipline on them that they practiced. And as a result, it turned them off from music because, there wasn't as much time to kind of play and learn the instrument and kind of find their own voice. I wonder what your experience was.
My dad always wanted to get me drum lessons, and I wouldn't. He was like, "I'll pay for your drum lessons," and I took a few with John Riley.
Yeah.
Who came to the house, and like, since he was in Patterson, he was sort of closer than not.
And for people that don't know, John Riley is considered one of the kind of foremost jazz drum educators.
Right.
He plays with the Village Vanguard Orchestra, and he's written a couple books about bebop drumming that are used by a lot of folks.
Right.
And how did that work out for you?
I just wanted to play Rush songs. I wanted to put my headphones on and play to Rush and Zeppelin and the Rolling Stones and the Police, and he knew that I wanted to do that, and so he gave me Tower of Power, What Is Hip, and I'm like, the groove is great.
Yeah.
And when you first hear that groove, you're like, holy shit. And then he plays it for me and then shows me a little bit of it. And I just am like, nah.
That's cool that you were strong-willed enough to kind of assert your taste at that point.
I mean, maybe it's because I have a learning disability. I don't know. I have a hard time reading, and I'm not saying I don't know. I have a hard time cognitively reading a lot of information and keeping focused. Like, it's like really difficult for me. Or I get really tired. Or I just get frustrated.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be frustrated. Fuck that. Like, what you said is true. It's like, this is fucking chomping into my fucking feel time.
Yeah.
This is chomping into like me understanding my body in relationship to this instrument. Right. I mean, what?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of similar to if you try to teach a child how to read before they even know how to talk. It's like, no. First, you have to kind of get your own familiarity with the language and have your own kind of command of the language before you can move into the more abstract world of written representation. Right. And drumming has largely been an oral tradition for a long time, for most of its existence. It was. Whether we're talking about like formal traditions like the tabla tradition, which is all oral, or just like how it was used. I think it's kind of like an innately intuitive and oral instrument, and to intellectualize it that early on can be a major turnoff for lots of people. Mm-hmm. So what was your process? You like, did your parents listen to Rush and the Police and stuff like that too, or did it feel like you were kind of developing your own inner world?
I gotta say, like, the first time I had money, the first cassette I bought was Paranoid, Sabbath,
Mm-hmm.
And my mom would let me listen to Paranoid in the car. I'm like 12, and the jam that I saw her really digging on was Planet Caravan. Mm-hmm. So I knew there was like some crossover thing going on there because my mom had the good taste.
Yeah.
And
I also like that you're kind of an empathetic enough person to be like gauging your mom's reaction to the record rather than just being in your own world.
Well, I was also sensitive to her not being happy.
Yeah.
Like I wanted her to be listening to something that she wanted to listen to.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I totally know the feeling because when I would put on Led Zeppelin tapes in the car, if my mom didn't like it, it would hurt my feelings.
Totally, man. Yeah.
Like, I remember one time the Lemon song came on and she's like, what the fuck is this shit? And I felt so embarrassed. But I guess the Lemon song is a weird song to listen to with your mom.
For some,
She's like, what's he saying?
Pretty man to get him down.
Hey folks, it's Joe. If you have a minute, please review the Trap Set on Apple Podcasts. You can probably just do it on the device you're listening to the show on right now. It takes about 5 seconds, and it will help new people discover the show. Thanks so much. When did you start playing with peers?
Well, I have two friends that I still play music with that I've known since I was 3. And we all, like, I think the first music we made was beatboxing. So when that was like 1984, Run DMC first, we learned all Jam Master Jay and like rapped that, up until that, we were just drawing and listening to whatever and hanging out. But then I had a set of drums, and my friend Steve got had a friend who had a guitar, and what we called ourselves Satan's Rats. And one guy would sit next to the box. I would just play a riff with bad. I was practicing a little drums at home, and then so it was really just bad improvised music, but it was ours.
When did you feel confident in your abilities?
I feel confident in my abilities when I practice. If I'm playing a lot, I'm going through that. I was thinking about that on the way down today. Was like, when I'm playing every day, I'm confident in a way of like knowing the feelings, sort of like being in how that feels but like if I'm not doing that every day, it takes a while to get back in the body. So I'm struggling with that always.
Yeah.
That just like, and how frustrating is it when you just go to the go-to and you're just doing what you do, which you probably think sucks. But like, well, I think my go-to is always like, this is too easy.
Yeah, but is the idea to play something hard all the time?
Never.
Right.
Never. But like, am I challenging myself enough?
Right.
Just kind of like, and I met...
we don't think about other things that way, other equally sensual things that way. Like when you're having sex, you're not like, am I challenging myself enough? You know what I mean? Like when we're connecting to other people on a deep level in a way that's similar to music. I feel like with music, and I have this tendency too, it's like there's like a more of a heightened awareness of like, what is my skill level at any given time? And I haven't figured out if that's like productive or not for me.
Well, what's important to you about a skill level? Like, what do you want more in your skill level?
To me, it's the most important thing is to try to feel a certain way and to try to support the other musicians that I'm playing with and make them feel good. That's what I'm going for on a fundamental level. But as somebody who has studied drums and who's thought a lot about drums, I think it's sometimes a challenge to really go for that and like let go all the way. Really just be like, I actually kind of don't want to even be aware of myself when I'm playing music in a certain way. I want to be connected to the other people.
Does that happen to you?
It like rarely. Sometimes it has. Or just, yeah. I mean, I like to feel like I'm like locked in with somebody else, and we're like.
Have you done like tours where you got to play every night? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And did you ever feel that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway,
that's the only time I've felt that thing. I
think I felt it more like when I first started playing drums, when I was really shitty.
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Because I wasn't aware. I wasn't as aware of myself.
Well, yeah. No, but I mean, that's also the thing. It's like, I feel like, one thing my dad, that pissed me off even till the day he died, was like, he would say like, you're just at the tip of the iceberg. Be like, motherfucker, like, living and playing an instrument for 20 something years is like, or 30 years is like, yeah, I'm at the tip of the iceberg, but for you, what does that mean? And for me, what does that mean? And when somebody says something like that, I tend to go into the general
Right.
blanket of they're right,
Yeah.
you know? And then I get really upset because I feel like, and I've said this before, is like, I think I'd need like 25 lifetimes to feel even remotely close enough to what rhythm is and how many ways I could feel it and explore it and experience it. And that's 25 intensive lifetimes,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, in absence of getting to live 25 times, the best we can hope to do is find what imperfections of our own are to be embraced. Like, what's our voice rhythmically?
Totally.
You know, we're not a metronome. If somebody wants a metronome, they can get a drum machine. That's no problem. What do we have to offer to, you know, to the conversation? Like, what is it about us that we can, you know, like, what can we contribute emotionally to the music or whatever?
I agree with that. I mean,
that's the conclusion I've come to.
totally. It's all about feeling. I mean, that's the thing. It's like when I think that's what doesn't exist for me right now in the rock world at all, is like nobody's really expressing themselves truly. Everybody's scared. There's a lot of safety, and like I've been listening to The Who lately, and it's so it's so expressive,
Yeah.
you know, and it's so cool because it's done so tastefully, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I feel that way sometimes too. Like, I feel similarly, like, oh, I can't find any new music. And I always ask myself, is that because I'm just like old and jaded? Is it because the art form is like not as fresh as it was back, like say the Who were around, like, I don't know, 15 years after rock and roll even emerged. That's not that long. It was there was still so much territory to be explored.
Yeah.
Now it seems like lots of rock music is referencing other rock music.
Totally.
You know,
And to that, like, Ty Segall for me is like a guy who is at least delivering the energy.
yeah.
You know, he's a guy that's like, and that's the thing that we all want and need
Yeah.
from that music. It can't be like, I don't want to hear tiny songs anymore, you know, and I don't want to hear 90s rock anymore either. But like, you know, I don't know. I go to Raw Power just when I think of, or Lust for Life, one of those records. Those two records for rock and roll are like the two.
When did you first find Iggy?
It was late. I mean, I think I was afraid of Iggy. You know, like
Yeah,
like
he's
that was
scary.
like, yeah. I was thinking things like one of those things that it was like, oh. But I remember hearing Lust for Life on the radio or something. I was like, what the fuck is that? You know, same thing with the Beatles. I remember I didn't give the Beatles a fucking shit of a shit.
Oh, was it because your parents were jazzers?
No. I mean, I had the blue tape, you know, like as a kid, you know, and what the Beatles weren't in my. But when I heard what's the fucking She's So Heavy on the radio,
Yeah.
I was just like a fan, instant fan. That song's so feeling.
It's really good.
You know, and I was just like, oh man, like, right, that's music to me, like, because jazz is confusing, fucking confusing as hell. Like, I give it a fair shot, like, every week. I'll really just like allow myself to be open to it, and I, like, you know, I go back, you know, and I listen to the people, and oh yeah, like, I'm checking out that Jack Johnson record right now.
Oh yeah, it's great.
It's great, but I'm also like, fucking chill out.
When did you start calling yourself a drummer?
I don't. I say play the drums.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I've learned over time that it's more palatable for people if I say I'm a drummer. You know? My ex-girlfriend, I think she was Brazilian. When I used to say, I'm going to go play now, I think it really, she thought I was like having too much fun, you know? And, yeah, so I think you have to be careful on like telling people like how, I think also they can, I don't know, like I feel like a loser when I say I'm a drummer.
Why? Wait, why? Let's unpack that. Why do you feel that? Oh, I can kind of relate. I mean, when I'm at like a function with people that are not musicians and they're like, "What do you do?" And I say, "I'm a musician." And then they say, "What instrument do you play?"
Yeah.
I feel like if I say drums,
That's the
they lose
conversation's
interest.
over. Yeah. You're like going looking for the shrimp cocktail.
So luckily, I have something I can tell them. I'm like, oh, I compose music for movies and TV. That's more interesting to them.
Way more
because they
interesting.
understand. But if I just said I play drums, which is like my primary instrument that I've spent decades on, they would just be like, huh.
Exactly.
Did you see Whiplash?
Actually, I've not seen
No,
Whiplash.
but they'll say that.
Oh, yeah. Actually, wow. Exactly. And I mean, playing drums, make music. I make music.
Well, when did you feel
that's lovely?
When did you feel like music was your calling and not just like a hobby?
I haven't been able to do anything else since I was 13. I mean,
yeah. So 13.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean, I really made the decision at 15. This is what I was going to do. Like,
How did that decision get made?
I hated school. I didn't even try.
Mm-hmm.
I started smoking pot with, I found an eighth of weed on the playground with my friend. And,
You just found it?
yeah, it was Jimmy O'Brien's, I think.
Okay. Sorry, Jimmy.
Yeah. And I remember like, I was kind of a jockey kid too. And, but I didn't hang out with the jocks, but I remember I was going out for a baseball tryout sophomore year in the spring, and my friend was just like, my friend Sam, I don't know if you know Sam from Mooney Suzuki.
I don't know him, but I know
but
the
we
band,
went to middle school, high school together, and he came up, shoved my locker. He's like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "Let's get out of here." And I didn't go to tryouts, and that was the end of that sports career. I think sports was too competitive for me. I just hated it. I wanted to be so good, and I mean, I feel that like about drumming too, I mean, I want to be so good, and what does that mean?
Yeah, in sports it means you win.
Right.
In drumming, what does it mean?
Right.
To you, what's your personal definition?
Man, like, you said about finding your sound before, it's like, yeah, it's like, I'll just tell this little story, and then I'll kind of, my dad had a drummer friend named Newman Baker, and Newman and him had a gig in Philly, and they would record, my dad would record the gig, and he'd ask Newman to come and sit in the car and listen back to the gig. And long story short, my dad played till he's 20, and then his father didn't let him play, and then he started playing again like late 20s. It's just a whole thing there. But Newman would listen to the tape and like stop the tape and be like, "Stop, rewind." He's like, "That's you." He's like, that's you right there. That little run, or like this like amount of bars. He's like, "That's your sound." And imagine we were able to do that with each other. Mm-hmm. Like just to be that giving and that receiving with like, really wanting to get better, as I feel like is really letting each other in. I have a hard time doing that, because I have a hard time with criticism, because I'm frustrated that I'm, not where I'm supposed to be, and it's all my fault. Yeah, I think even if I'm practicing, I'm not going to be where I'm going to be. I'm just going to be practicing when I'm practicing, So playing with as many people as possible is helpful.
Yeah.
And settling in with different groups, I feel like is great, and like making your own music is great, like, just like all these things, and like, and living your life too, like doing other shit, hanging out with your friends is major important, like having a social life, a real social life, not like one that you just see people at the nightclub and but like real connections and shit, you know, nightclub, that is a nightclub.
Beware the bottled thoughts of angry young men. Secret compartments hide all of the skeletons. Little girl wants to make a home with him, and in the middle of the shore she wonders. Don't know what she asked for. Don't know what she asked for. And all young lovers know why nightmares blind their minds' eyes.
I think the first time I was aware of your work as a drummer is when you started playing with Jeff Buckley. How did that come about?
I knew Mick, the bass player, and I guess it was at the Green Space over on 26th Street or something like that. It was like this rehearsal space. I never knew about it, but it was on its way out around that time, and Mick was like, yo, how you doing? And I had just heard Jeff's album, Grace, 2 weeks before that for the first time. I wasn't impressed, you know. I just wasn't, you know. I mean, I thought it was great, but it was like not my thing. I was just like, and Mick was like, "Yo, you should come and try out. You know, I'm playing with this guy Jeff Buckley. You should come and try out. We're trying." And so I went and, you know, played Paranoid and a couple other numbers, you know, and we met a few more times, and then yeah, I think just Jeff just said, you want to join my band, like after, you know, a month or something, a month and a half. So yeah, it was
kind of a long courting period.
Yeah, it was cool. You know, it was cool because I had come back to the city. I was living in a dorm frat, like up at Columbia University, of like the you know, sort of party frat, and my friend's brother was going to school there. So me and his brother, who's older, were sleeping in the basement. We had a band, and the kid was going to school there, was in the band. So we just slept in the basement. We got to rehearse there all the time. And so, yeah, this came at a great time, something else, you know. And that was, yeah, it was really, I don't know, I was really young. I was 23, you know, when I met Jeff.
Was it the highest profile artist that you had worked with closely at that point?
Yeah, but I mean, I couldn't even wrap my head around what that meant. You know, I mean, I was like, ooh, this guy is in a, you know, is a signed act.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, it was just, and yeah, I mean, you know, I met his manager and lawyer and A&R guy, and, you know, I could tell it was like it wasn't fun. It sucked, you know, just, we were all so young, you know, and, but we played 8 hours every day for like 5 months or whatever, 4 months, you know, and then, I don't know, just Jeff, we jammed on shit, and we just made music, and then he didn't open his mouth 4 days before the gig we had. I'd never heard him sing, like,
really?
He didn't ever sing while we're just jamming all these new songs instrumentally, which was cool because that's what I like doing.
Yeah.
You know, so that was fun. But it was also, there was a lot of instruction and a lot of like mid-tempos, and I wasn't used to mid-tempos. You know, it was like, I mean, you know, I played with Led Zeppelin records, so I was familiar, and I liked playing with hip-hop, and that was cool. But, you know, just different tempos and different feels, and like, you know, not like, hey, try to imitate this, but like, you know, I mean, that's the idea, right? It's like, I mean, I do this all the time when I play. Sometimes I just need a focal point, somebody to reference, you know, because sometimes I get lost and I don't trust myself, or I feel like I'm getting too feely, you know, and so I like kind of like have a PowerPoint person that I can kind of go to that I feel like, if this guy was playing or this chick was playing the song, how would it feel, you know? I'm trying to just get back into that, because that might have, we hear so much music. It's hard to know what's ours, hard to know what we've heard. It's like hard to know what we've been influenced by. So,
Yeah.
It's just,
We kind of don't need to know that in
no,
a way.
you don't. But it's like, there is something nice about referencing things to cut edges sharper, or like to soften things, or just to like lay back a hair. Like, Al Jackson, I think we've talked over social media, but if you listen to the way he plays, it's like his snare drum is way behind, hi-hat's ahead, and his bass drum's right on. Or sometimes it's like the bass drum's a little behind, and snare drum's right on, hi-hat's a little ahead. It's just like so, and he's not
thinking
about
that it just happens to be the way his
That's
body
right.
is set up and how he's feeling it.
Exactly. But it's just so, I'm envious of, people that are so in their body, that's...
That's interesting that you say that, because when I listen to your playing, it sounds very centered and it feels really good to me.
Thanks.
So it seems like it's more of an issue of like you not being comfortable with your own, like in your own skin.
Trusting yourself, it's hard. I think it's hard because, I've been on a Who kick right now. I've just been like,
Yeah.
I've been just like listening to Who's Next, and that's sort of like, I've never been a Who's Next guy. I just sort of like rediscovered the Who again for me. It was one of the first bands I loved, and that snare fill at the beginning of Can't Explain is like kind of what got me hooked into rock and roll.
You saw people who practiced their art in a very kind of disciplined way. Like jazz musicians, you have to know a certain repertoire of material.
Sure.
And there's also a strain of thought that I think began around our parents' generation, where you were expected to like learn how to play like everybody else before you're allowed to kind of think for yourself. Like, oh, well, first learn how Max did it, and then Tony, and then Art Blakey and Elvin. And then like maybe then you're qualified to kind of have your own voice. And I wonder if that like strain of thought kind of crept into your world as a kid learning an instrument. Like if you felt like what you were doing was not good enough, and if it was because of that.
My dad really pushed lessons on me. He wanted me to, he was trying to equip me.
Was he ever able to say like, "Hey, I'm proud of you. You sound good"?
Yeah, but he was always like, "When are you going to take lessons?"
Yeah.
Like I hear what you're capable of.
Yeah.
He would say stuff like that.
Well, I can see why punk would have been so appealing then.
Well, yeah, but I was also like an angry little kid. I'm still an angry older guy. I put it out more. I'm not very approachable. And that doesn't mean I don't like you. It's just I keep my in. I'm actually really nice, but I
seem like a nice guy.
Yeah, yeah, man. I don't know. It's like I met Mick Fleetwood this past year, and when I met him, I said, did you ever practice? He said no. Just me and John, we've been playing a long time, and I said, so you're one of those guys that can only play when there's music playing? And he said, totally. And I'm that guy too. Like I have no interest in like reinventing the fucking wheel. I like being in an ensemble with people that create things. That really gets me going, because my ideas are simple. Like, I don't have complicated ideas. I need other people to help make those ideas a little more interesting. And, and then we just keep switching it to make it more interesting. I like the music I make at home, I think it's cool because it fills a little hole for me that isn't being made. But it's I'm talking about all this like energy.
Mm-hmm.
My music doesn't have that. You know, it's like a different thing. It's like I'll play drum. I want to play drums like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I also love fucking, reggae music. You know, I've been listening to like King Tubby like all the time and stuff. You know, but me and James Brown, man, it's like my go-to. Like if I ever need to just be grounded again, it's like James Brown.
Yeah.
Hendrix. Like even like one of the first handfuls of records my stepbrother bought me was Smash Hits, Hendrix, Arlo Guthrie's Alice's Restaurant, Velvet Underground, White Light, White Heat.
Wow, you had a cool older stepbrother.
Yeah, and John Lee Hooker, like Greatest Hits.
Yeah.
And Bandit Gypsies, And it's just like, I mean, Bandit Gypsies to me is like, that's maybe the top one or two. I can listen to that record forever. And it's just Buddy Miles playing up grooves, I don't know. It's just like, that's the thing. It's like, I feel like anything I'm doing musically is rhythmic. I'm not a great person with chord changes. I don't want to be smart. I love 50s music because it is so dumb, but so smart.
It's direct.
It's direct. It's quick. And it's sweet.
Mm-hmm.
There's these little vignettes.
Rip wide open for the world to see. Rip wide open, you and me. I'm a soul-sucking brother, ass-kicking man, big talking pussy boy. That's what I am.
This episode of The Trap Set is brought to you in part by Colectivo Coffee. Handmade coffee since 1993. Check them out online at colectivo.com.
You were talking about how you and Jeff were rehearsing for a long time before he even opened his mouth.
Yeah.
And then when he opened his mouth, what happened? Did it connect with you then?
I was like, oh, fuck. Like, shit. Okay. It's like, and then, we did that one gig at Arlene's Grocery that I think my friend Charles recorded. And now you can hear it on YouTube, of that gig at Arlene's Grocery, And, but, it's so weird, man. It's like, I think for me, like, Jeff was so kind, like, he really like, he'd like give me massages because he knew he was like putting me through the ringer because he was seeing how much he was like trying, and how much I wanted to like fucking understand what he wanted, because his energy was like, it was just fun. It was fun making music with Jeff, but he was just so kind, and appreciative, and it just, man, when you do that to people like that you're making music with, like it's more of that thing again. Like we were saying earlier, it's like just like really being open, and just like you make better music. You just there's more love going on. Like there's more freedom. There's more allowances to be had. There's like, because what you were saying is like before is like you're in the jam room and you're like imagining what that guy might be wanting to hear, or this guy, and you're like start thinking about. But if everybody's sort of like a little more free with the communication verbally, like that helps. That really helps, man. Like, because that then brings the spirit of what we're all doing together into the thing, It's a love fest, You know, there is a bit of a love fest thing, and it's just about being vulnerable in those, listening to each other, I have a really nasty tendency to just be like, yeah, I know, like I know what, like if you're in the middle of trying to tell me something, I know what you're saying, let's just do it, rather than like let you finish your sentence, because it's like, it's hot, it's fresh, let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
And I think drummers are the only people that do that in the band, because it's so in your body that you're like having to keep the feeling, and I tend to think like people take it personally. They feel like I'm cutting them off,
So when you were with Jeff, that's when you first met Joan, right?
Yeah.
And then when she decided to make solo music as Joan as Policewoman, how did you reconnect?
Well, we had this band, after Jeff died, we put a band together called Black Beetle, and it was me, Joan, Michael Ty, and we had Oren Blowdow playing bass. And, it was mostly songs Michael and Joan were writing separately and together. And we did that for like almost 5 years, like 4.5 years or something. And that was great because it helped us get through that time. Music was sort of like the healing thing. It was a really sad time.
Were you with Jeff when he passed away?
We were flying down the day he drowned. Like we missed him by an hour.
So you landed and found out the bad news.
We landed, we got back to his house, and the phone rang, and we were with Gene, the tour manager, and a call from the guy who was with Jeff saying, you got to get down here. I think Jeff went in. Nobody can find him. And so we all just hopped in the car and went down. And, it was just like, that's what was going on.
And then, after he passed, forming the band was a way of kind of grieving and getting past it.
Yeah, like Nathan Larson.
Yeah.
Joan, me and Michael, we put like an instrumental piece together and did it at St. Anne's for his memorial. And then I think me, Michael, and Joan were just doing the trio thing. And then Oren hopped on. And then we got another guy named Dadi, who's a Haitian guy, later on to play bass, and that was fun. But yeah, that was the saving music. It was that was a sad time.
Well, what are you most like? Do you feel like when you listen back to recordings you made, can you be proud of the music and proud of what you played?
It's so weird.
What's the feeling that you
What's
get?
the feeling for you?
Well, I can tell you that, the first 50 of these podcasts, when I would listen back after it had been edited, even the sound and cadence of my voice, my speaking voice, was enough to like make me cringe.
Yeah.
But when you're listening back to say like an album you made with Joan or Jeff or anybody,
right?
Do you hear it? Are you happy with it?
I mean, it's hard, man. I'm a control freak.
Yeah.
So it's like, I spent a lot of time trying to get the drums right on that Amon Dunes on those Amon Dunes records.
Yeah.
And like, and yet it's not my record. I can only or the Joan stuff, but it's not my record. Mm-hmm. How invested do I want to get in this thing until I so I don't get resentful.
Right. I mean, it's a matter of learning when to trust that the person whose record it is, the artist that you're playing with, is going to know what to do, what's like for their music, like what.
Yeah. Right.
Like you get it to a certain point, and then you're passing the baton on to them and saying, "All right, this is your song. Like this is a good starting point.
Right."
Have at it.
I think the things that I'm most proud of, though, are with people that have heard me in that decision, in that process. Like, because at least it's there are things that I know I had more of a hand on kind of carving it in the way that I wanted, or the grooves, or this drum should be loud, or the percussion's supposed to sound like that, or, and not standing out, and just all that stuff. Because I think one thing that I do when I record is I'm like, Mingus talks about that with the Richmond interview. Again, he's talking about how, like, here's the line, straight line, and, they play a little bit ahead of it, a little bit behind it, or whatever. But, I mean, I just think, like, with recording drums, I have a tendency to play behind because I'm playing underneath everything. That's how I always think of it like that. Like, I always think I'm sort of like one of the alpha wolves in the back, making sure the pack is safe,
Yeah.
Right? I mean, just make sure, it's like I rarely lead, When I did the stuff with Anthony, that was very great for me, in the sense that he was able to, I was so out of my league and so sensitive. I mean, I was playing with fucking string trio and a bass player, piano, and drums. I'm like, no, how is this gonna sound? That was like, and like, he wants the drums to be prominent, so it means I have to like whack drums on top of these strings and shit. Like, what the fuck? That's not what I want to do. I want to sit in that music, and I want to listen to that music and respond to it. And he really wanted me to take a lead, and that was really hard for me, because it was like, that was so counterintuitive to play that music for me.
In the end, did it feel you got to the right place?
Yeah, I mean, there's moments that felt right. There's some recorded moments that feel completely wrong, it's just, when I'm working with people, and they, I'll either take direction, or I will give something, and then the people can say that, do that, that's cool, that, I kind of don't make decisions like that anymore, unless there's a real understanding, and ultimately, like you said, I want to know if everybody in that thing is digging what's happening, because that's again the love thing, it's like within reason, like, we're all doing this together. If you got a loose cannon, and that's not in the script at all, or some guy that like goes along with the script and then goes out and does his thing, like, goodbye. No time for that. Like, I just feel like there's it's cool, man. It's like, I feel like getting older is helping me sort of just, I don't know, just being more in the moment with the music.
If you could send a message to 21-year-old Parker in a time machine, what would you tell him? Like, if you could help him out.
Man, I would say this to him, and he would say, like, fuck you.
Well, what would you tell him?
I'd say get a trade. Like, get a trade. Like learn how to be a plumber. Fucking figure out how to, like, you can do something where you can make money.
You feel like drumming isn't really that kind of a trade anymore.
Just have something you can back yourself up on, because like that's really the thing that plagues me more than anything, is the financial aspect of what I've chosen to do. It's like, I mean, that's the real talk of it. It's like, I'm not a rock star. I've never been. Like, I've always been fucking struggling. You know, it's just like, you know, and I think that's the majority.
Oh,
You know?
yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just like, you know,
And
so.
and by the way, it has nothing to do with, you know, people's skill level or how innovative they are as an artist.
Right.
It's almost random and
Totally.
luck based.
Totally. And yeah, exactly. And you know, I work with some people that are really want it. You know, I've recorded records with people that really want it. And they're going to get it, you know, and they're going to get it because they have the resources. I don't have those resources, you know. And that's not meaning as a human being, you know. I have those resources as a human being. I just don't have what we were just talking about, those kind of resources. You know, I just don't have that. And that's what's going on, you know. So it's like, you know, I just, that's what makes me sad about how much good music isn't being heard, you know. How many great musicians can't be heard because they can't afford to do it, you know. Yeah, I mean, it's almost like a privilege, it feels like, at this point.
If you could ask 90-year-old Parker a question, what would you ask him?
If I had to ask him, I think
Like
I would
right
just
now.
say, am I doing it right?
Yeah.
You know, I think, am I doing it okay? Like, that's like all I want to know. Like, you know, just like, am I doing life okay, you know?
Well, you just had a daughter.
Yeah.
It's your first child.
Yeah,
So how's that changing the way that you're thinking about life?
It's funny. It's like, you know, I haven't played drums in like a month. I strummed a guitar a couple times, you know, and I haven't thought, I mean, I'm thinking about music and I'm listening to music. But like the day after I got home from tour, it was like, I went right from tour. The baby was born already. It came like a week early. And I went right to the baby and I saw my friend a couple days later and he's like, so how's the tour? I was like, what tour? You know, it's just like,
It was a distant memory by that point.
totally, you know? And
So you were on tour when the baby was born?
yeah. Yeah, I saw it FaceTime.
Wow.
Yeah. I saw
See,
it.
that's
come
something
out.
that musicians of the past couldn't have
That's
done.
true. It's so true, man.
Wow.
And I was right between her legs. You know?
Yeah.
It was insane. A little dead fucking like looking monkfish came out of there.
I hope your daughter listens to this someday. What do you want for yourself right now?
I would like a gig, you know, like I'd like a I don't know why, I don't know how it works, man. I want money, you know. I want to make a living doing what I fucking love doing, you know. That's what I want for me, you know. And you know, it's just it's hard to know, like you know, it's hard to trust that what, you know, I'm contributing, or, I mean, I feel like the older I get, the more I have to contribute. I mean, that's for sure, you know. And that's worth staying here for as long as possible, you know.
Here being New York or in the world of music?
Just in the world,
Yeah.
you know, in the world. Because, I mean, I feel like musicians have so much to offer, you know. Like, we have such a responsibility, you know, like to keep things like up, you know, like, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, like, I don't think I like.
It's hard to quantify, you know, because it's not a traditional job. So there's not a traditional kind of monetary value assigned to it in an incremental way. But yeah, it's very important.
Yeah, I just even mean like the energy aspect of it, like really,
Yeah.
like offering something rather than just doing something for self-satisfaction.
I feel like the reason why it's hard to make a living as a musician is because, you know, it's a historically kind of selfless act, making music.
True.
And then when you combine it with commerce, you've got all these people that are innately selfless. And some of them are egomaniacs, but the act of it requires a certain level of empathy and selflessness that's easy for other people to take advantage of on the business side of things.
No, it's true.
That's part of it. And there's just so many people trying to do it. It's
strange, it's like, and are they imposters, or is that really what's happening? And like,
it's hard to know if somebody's an imposter. I mean, you can only know what they're putting out.
Well, it's hard for me to even say, but am I an imposter? It's just like, who am I?
The fact that you're thinking that probably means that you're not,
Well, maybe. I don't know. I just know that, back to your original statement or question, which was, I think the best things I've ever done are a culmination of everything I've learned in life. If I'm comfortable in the moment, if I'm playing enough, if I'm have enough coordination from my brain to my body to execute things. Do the drums sound good? Drums need to sound good. I don't want to hit them if they don't sound good.
Yeah.
I can't. If it's the right music, because I can't play music that I'm not feeling. I can't. I'm not that guy. Mm-hmm. I need a samba. It's like, fuck you. You're going to get a samba, but not the way you want it.
Does there have to be a fuck you in there? If your daughter gravitated towards music, what would be your approach to kind of guiding her?
Well, dancing with her, playing her good music, looking at her, see what she responds to. And I had my friend say the other day, whatever you do, teach her kindness, And so, like, I don't know, being kind and, like, being in her body, like, that's kind of how I want to guide her into, like, whatever she wants to do, Like, not being, being assertive, like, feeling safe enough to ask for things and, I don't know, have a dialogue with a person, I feel so blessed to be a musician that has a weird schedule. Even though I know kids need consistency, it's like right now the thing just needs to feel safe because it's young, it's small, it just needs to feel safe. It's like in its 4th trimester, it's still considered in utero, So to be given that, just to give it safety, man. Like, that's what we all want to feel, is like safe and loved, right?
Yeah, I think especially artists. If you want her to feel safe and loved so she can find her own path artistically, if that were to be what she does. But then also as a drummer, you want the people in the band, you want to try to kind of bring that attitude to the band.
Totally. But also,
unless somebody asks you to play a fucking samba.
Well, no, but also being 45 with the lifestyle that I've experienced, like, and I get to be angry. I don't have, I get to have that in music.
Yeah.
And I get to, show that to my girlfriend, who then goes, fuck you, you can't talk to me like that. And then I go, okay, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. But, like, in music, those drums aren't saying, like, you can't talk to me. Sometimes they are, but, if you say it, then you have people listening, which is really embarrassing. When you, like, I feel like when you say something that doesn't need to be said, I know for me, playing-wise, or even in life, it brings attention to it, It's like, more is not more, And it's just kind of like, feel like that's kind of how I approach the drums. It's like that, like minimal, and like I need to like hear it again and again and again and again and again, and like, that's how I grew up jamming with people, was like just stay in a groove, maybe there's like one change, two changes, and then just get back to the groove and like stay on it for like a fucking half an hour, you know? That's what we did. We just get in like stoner grooves and fucking, you know, we opened for All when we were 17. That was amazing. And the Anthrax in Connecticut. And it was in a band called Mushmouth. And yeah, that was like Bill Stevenson coming up on stage, fucking just wailing it, man. That was like the highlight of my teen years, you know. But
I saw Bill Stevenson when I was 17 too,
Dude.
or maybe 16.
dude, so
Got to
good.
get him on this show.
Oh, that would be
Well,
amazing.
Parker, any closing thoughts?
Lots. I don't know. Give me a question. Give me something.
What was the first thing that went through your mind this morning?
I think it was, I hope Joe doesn't think I'm an asshole.
Jesus, so defensive. I don't think you're an asshole, and I'm really grateful that you did this show. Parker, thanks so much for being
Thanks,
here.
man. Thanks, I appreciate it.
That was good. The Trap Set is produced by me, Joe Wong, along with Chris Karwowski, who also edits the program. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at The Trap Set, and visit our website, thetrapset.net, to subscribe to our show for free. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please donate to our show. If you can't afford to donate, please tell a friend and give us a good rating on iTunes. Send your feedback and guest requests to thetrapset@gmail.com.